I'm going to segue right into that. Okay, what does that next level look like to you?
Well, the next level for me is like what you'll see online at the minute is all this content out there talking to American people saying, and the rest of the world saying, you come to Dubai, come to this tax-free location, come to here, come to there, come to there. Look, for everyone at home that's listening to this, America is the best place in the world to live, to make money, and to scale anything in life. Anybody that tells you differently is telling you a lie. So I've come here with the sole intention to take my life to a whole different level. You know, I want to live that Australian life. That's why I'm in Miami. So I've still got the Australian life, but I want access to a bigger market, a market that, you know, has uncapped potential. There's no way me or you in our lifetimes could exceed the cap of the market in America right now. So that's my vision, that's my dream, that's my goal. I don't have all the answers, and I want to tell every single one of you listeners right now, you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to know exactly how you're going to execute every plan, but what you need is a crystal clear vision for how you want your life to look, like a dream day in your life. I read my dream day in my life every day, and when I was sat in Dubai, I was reading my dream day, and when I'd read it, it'd say, I wake up in Miami, the thread count on my sheets are this and this and this, and my woman's this. I'm like, but where did it start? It says I wake up in Miami. Well, I was in fucking Dubai. So it wasn't congruent with the vision I had for my life, so I made the change to make sure it was congruent. So the first thing I want to say to everyone listening to this is, make sure you have the dream day of how you want your life to look written out, and have it in excruciating detail, because then if you read that every day, you can't unsee it, and you can't help but attract that future into your life and bring about that, because you have to change, because you can't read it and then not see it.
That's great.
What I teach is that there's a 20x principle, that there's 20 times more potential in you than you've ever allowed someone to bring out of you. And why is it you can't bring it out of yourself? Why do you need a coach? Because of the pain. And the pain is, maybe it's mental pain, emotional pain, physical pain, financial pain, relational pain. If you're going to do something great, it's going to cost you everything to say goodbye to that, to focus on that one thing. And most people don't want to say goodbye to family, friends, whatever, to focus to be the best.
Yeah.
And maybe for 6 months, maybe for a year. I had a girlfriend at the time, and she said, if you go in the military, I'll leave you. I said, see ya. Like, nothing was as important as focusing on that one thing for that season of my life. And then you go, wow, I just didn't know. And the coaches say, we told you, dude, there's a lot more, lots of things inside of you, but you've lived in a small world, and you've lived with snakes in your head, and you have a lot of limiting beliefs that you've grown up with, and they're all causing you to be mediocre and average and not try big things. And you have big inside you. And that was the beginning of change in my life of, well, then I'm going to shoot for big things.
How you do anything is how you do everything.
That's right.
I remember telling my daughters, listen, you don't want to play kickball, don't play kickball. You don't want to play pickleball, don't play pickleball. You don't want to try out for cheerleading, don't do it. Because you don't do things that you don't want to do. But if you're going to do something, you better do it, you better pursue greatness. I don't care if you do 2 things in your life, I don't give a shit. But be great. Have an appetite for being great.
Yes.
You can't do a little of this, a little of that, because that's how you're going to end up living your whole life. How you do anything is how you do everything. And that became crystal clear when I was in prison. I saw the way guys and people conducted themselves. And I also got to witness certain people, the way they cleaned their cell, the way they cuffed their pants, the way they did certain things. And it became very clear to me. When you look at a man, you can tell how he conducts himself. If he's sloppy, he's going to be sloppy with everything. It's just the way it is. And, I urge guys to do, people that are associated with me today, like just men that are close to me. I hate to single him out, but he's right here, Nelson. There are things that he's got to understand about the way you do things. The way you do anything turns out how you do everything. You don't see it when you're young. But when you go back and you look at life, that's one of the benefits of being older. You know, a lot of, when I was a young guy, all these older guys would talk shit, and I'd be like, "Oh, fuck yourself." I mean, you know, you're just old. Well, there's one thing that age does guarantee. I have more years experience than you do. That's all I can tell you. It's
Yes.
the only thing I can guarantee.
Yeah.
I'll be 68 in 2 weeks. And I've done a lot of stuff. I'm a guy that's 68 with 168,000 miles on me. But I learned a lot of stuff, and I witnessed a lot of stuff. And again, life to me is not a spectator sport. I jump in the game. And I played in a lot of games. And I can tell you that if you're going to do something, you should try and be great at it. You've got to try to be great, or don't do it.
But when I had my son Legend, I think my wife psyoped me, and we talk about this often because, you know, she was a model and an actress, and then we got our kids in modeling and acting. And when you get them in early, there's stroller commercials, there's diaper commercials, they're sitting in the back seat of a car. But in these commercials, there's a husband, a wife, and then the kids. So when they would cast my kids, naturally they want to cast the mom if she's in acting. Yes, she is. Then they need the dad. I was too fat to play the dad. They would get some actor. And here I am doing the BTS of some other man taking my place. So that was one thing. But then, you know, I started getting worse because I wasn't able to absorb foods because of my stomach being so small, and then I stretched it out by overeating liquids. So now my BMI was high, and then I was going to the hospital for sleep apnea. So now my family is visiting me in the hospital.
Was the sleep apnea because you were overweight?
Yes,
That was being caused
overweight.
By, yeah. Okay.
And so that was it. You know, my daughter looked at me and said, "Daddy, you're fat. I don't want you to die." And that moment changed me. I made a decision. And, you know, it really came from, honestly, I don't think if I was not a good leader in all the other areas of my life, that my wife would have believed that I was going to do it. When I told my wife, I'm going to treat this like a business. Now I'm in the business of Anthony getting healthy and living longer and being around for his kids and his wife.
Yes.
And so when I did, then I started doing all the things I would do in a business venture. Hire the right architect or the right electrician, the right builder. In this case, I hired a nutritionist, a coach. I flew him down from Ireland to live with me. I remember his name is Mike Fatboy Slim. We're amazing friends. He had a tattoo on his arm when we did the Zoom call. It said millionaire. And I said, "Are you a millionaire?" He was young. He was like 20-something. He said, "No, sir." I said, "If you live with me for a year, I'll make you a millionaire." And I said, "Teach me everything you know, and I'll teach you everything I know." So he lived with us for a year. We took him on family vacation. He became family. I lost the weight. We did a documentary called From Fat Lolly to Six Pack Lolly, The Ultimate Transformation Story. Mm-hmm. It aired during the pandemic on Amazon. It was translated into 52 languages after it just exploded. Everybody. I was talking to a specific niche, though, much like you. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I wasn't talking to every man. I was talking to the CEO, 6, 7, and 8-figure income earner, the C-suite executive, the man who has it all but doesn't have his health. Yes. Turns out there's millions of those men out there.
Sure.
And I resonated with them because I wasn't trying to be all things to all people. I didn't hide the Rolls Royce. I didn't hide the mansion. I even talked about my business. But I literally was almost half naked after surgery. My wife is wiping my butt because I couldn't even wipe my own ass from the surgery, loose skin surgery. Yeah. So I put it all out there, and people resonated with that.
Was this typical? Is this something, or are we just seeing it now?
No, it's a way of life, and I like I said, I often tell people, if you're going to work for a man like the president, Donald Trump, every day, regardless what your job is, whether you're a driver, an attorney, a bodyguard, security, salesperson, you have to bring your A game. And nothing less. And again, because that's what he expects, and he expects you to put in 110% every single day. If you're not up to that, and that's not what you signed up for, then you just, at the end of the day, you have to go. You'll see people over time, they come in, they're very motivated, they want to work with him, They want to have it on their resume. They come in and then they realize you're not going home at 8 hours. You're going to work, and you're going to work the same as him. And if you can't stay up at that pace and operate at the highest level, again, whatever your job is, then you just need to, there's no hard feelings. It's not for you. Go to another company and then thank you. And then we'll find somebody that works at that level. And fortunately, there's many people in that company. And I was 18, 19 years, I was probably one of the short timers. There's people there 30, 40 years plus that have been in his inner work circle that and very loyal. Not only it's a two-way street, he's loyal and they're loyal. So it takes a special person to work for a guy like Mr. Trump, especially over extended time. It's not for the faint of heart, that I can assure you.